Hello friends and enemies, welcome to or back to Happy for Now. It's me as well here with my November stats, highs, lows, surprises, all the good stuff. What a weird reading month. First of all, I need to preface this. I read a ton in November. Part of that is I read a lot of manga, first of all. I do need to say that flat out. We'll talk about that in the November manga haul and log coming soon. Like literally the next regular video you get from me that's not a vlog. Yeah, so I need to preface that, but I also need to preface that I feel like November was not a great reading month, even though my rating was high, but also not a bad reading month. I just don't feel like I read a ton of things that I feel strongly about in November, which is a weird feeling when trying to pick out your like lows, surprises, and stuff. And then also I have some fun read what you own news because I did manage to do actually really well this month. So we'll talk about that in a minute. First up, let's dive straight into stats. I always find this interesting, so let's go in here and start off with everything I read. I read 40 books for a total of 7,993 pages. This is how you know it was a lot of manga. I feel like if I read 40 regular books, I'd be over 10,000 pages. My average rating was a 4.11. I listened to 29 hours of audiobooks, and that's with my sped up speed, not regular speed. I read 5 KU titles, 7 books from the library, which I'm very happy about. And then as far as our age demographics go, I read 24 adult titles and 16 YA titles. All of those were manga, unsurprising. And then format-wise, I read 9 audiobooks, 6 ebooks, and 25 volumes of manga. So, like, I did pretty good this month overall. Like, I'm happy with everything as it's said and done. Because, like, at the end of the day, I still read a lot, even though a lot of it was manga. Because one of my things is I really do want to clear my manga shelves. And that also, like, seeing how high my manga count is, I was like, this is part of me pulling my manga into its own spreadsheet next year. We'll talk about it in January, I promise. I will have a spreadsheet video again this year where I talk about what I'm using. I'm tweaking some things currently, so I don't want to, like, dive into the spreadsheet video until I've, like, lived in it for a couple weeks in January. So it's coming though. It is on the schedule. But yeah, I am separating out because of this. I would like to see like my demographics for manga broken down, as well as a better idea for what is like happening in my manga reading, like what genres am I reading, what publishers, and then same thing for my books. Like when I'm having a bad book month, I will be able to see it better because my manga ratings aren't inflating it, because generally speaking most of my manga are 4 or 5 stars. Like I don't usually read ones I don't like, so yeah, there's that. All right, let's talk about Read What You Own. I have the biggest update of the year, I feel like, since the beginning of the project. And that is, I finished 20 books off of my TBR, from my owned TBR in the month of November. And that is huge. And that was not all manga, first of all. All of it was not manga. Like, it was a mix of other categories, including audiobooks off my Libro FM, some stuff off my Kindle. Like, we had a little sprinkling throughout, and that was really nice to see and feels really good. So I'm hoping to carry that energy into December and January and on as we continue the Read What You Own project. If you missed that, I announced 2024 Read What You Own in my December reset. I was like, what? I'm all flipped around on months. I'm like, I'm filming November, talking about December. Okay, anyways, yeah, that was thrilling though. Like absolutely thrilling for me to realize that I had managed to lower my amount by 20 books. All right, let's dive in to my low surprises and highs. Again, this is a weird one this month. Oh, I did have one reread technically. Okay, anyways, that's beyond the point. It was a weird one this month because, again, I feel like I read 15 books, but I didn't, like, I don't know. I just don't have a ton that I want to talk about this month, which is, again, very strange. Either way, let's dive into the lows. First things first, we have Stuffed by the Word Turkey, which I did recommend to y'all in my recommendations for the long weekend for my Americans, because honestly, everyone needs to join me in the horror that was that book. So if you haven't read it, you need to. You need to. Truly, you need to join me in this horror show. Please and thank you. Read it and DM me while you do so. Because I just feel like everyone else had the same reaction I had while reading it, most likely, which is, what the fuck? What the fuck? So, there's that. Next, we have one that I'm not going to talk too in depth about because you're literally getting a vlog on Thursday where I talk about this book. But that's Things We Hide from the Light by Lucy Score. This book was so bad. And I had read people's reviews and they were like, this is a mess, this book is terrible. And I had a couple friends who were like, this book is great, I loved it. And I was like, something is not right. But this book was so bad. And I didn't hate the first book in the Lucy Score series. Like, I didn't hate it completely, but I didn't love it either, right? I mostly want to read book 3, and since book 2 was nominated, I've read it for Goodreads. But I also just feel like, y'all, this book. First of all, he like doesn't leave being a cop. There's a weird tattoo thing. I don't want to talk about too in depth because I go into it in the blog. I hate when that happens. So yeah, this was like a 1 star. I did not have a good time. It took me 9 days to read this, which like, it doesn't take me 9 days to read a lot of things. Unless I'm literally despising it. Or loving it so much I drag it out. But usually that's like, this does not happen. Especially for a project. So yeah, there's that. God, it was so bad. I would love to know if anybody liked it. I don't think I know anybody who really liked this one. So if you did, I'm sorry. But it was so bad. So bad for me. And I had a terrible time. Terrible time. Next up, for my surprises, we have Hayseed by Vera Valentine. I am putting this on my surprises because like the premise of this is that it's like a scarecrow romance. It's a fall festival. She gets lost in the hay kind of thing, heading home, stumbles across a man who looks kind of like a scarecrow but not, and turns out he comes to life once a year and they bone, and it's a good time, and there's a lot of like voyeurism and interestingness here. This is a surprise because I didn't know what to expect going into this one. Vera is known for her interesting, to say the least, books, right? And that's not a critique. Like, that's a fun thing I like about Vera. And I feel like no matter what, she usually delivers to some extent on these books and these premises. But Hayseed for me delivered a lot more than I expected it to. I really enjoyed it at the end of the day. And I think it was just such a fun read. And it was so quick and enjoyable, perfect for fall season, that I had a blast with it. And I can't recommend it enough. Definitely check her content warnings. And if you have any questions about them, let me know. I'm happy to answer questions as far as how much they relate in. I would note, like, there is domestic violence in here, and then some stuff around that happens on page, and then she kind of gets her revenge, we'll call it. So that's fun. It actually, like, it worked for me really well. I was nervous from the content warnings, but it actually worked out really well. Next, we have Feed by Evita Weiss. This was a reread, which is why I was like, oh god, I had a reread and I forgot. I got an audio arc from the author for this one, and I'm putting this in a surprise because I cannot believe how much I enjoyed the book upon reread as an audio. This is one of those books that, like, I really enjoyed it the first time I read it, and I was like, I have to finish the duet, and I never did. And I talk about it in my reset, how I want to read Yours Insatiably so I can finish the duet this month. But I really enjoyed Feed when I read it, like, I don't know, whenever it came out. And I've enjoyed a lot of other things by Evita. And this just, like, was fantastic as an audio. It's Richard Pendragon is the narrator, and I think he's doing a great job. He's narrating some of the more weird books, and I just think he does a fantastic job with it, to be honest with you. And he has a great voice, so it was really fun to listen to and to revisit the story. And then I, like, left it, like, anticipating the next book again. And like I said, it's one of those ones that's been on, like, my reread and revisit list, and I'm just so happy I did, and I'm happy it held up, because you always worry, but I had nothing to worry about. It was a delightful time. So if you've been waiting to read Feed, I highly recommend the audio. If you want to reread it, I highly recommend the audio, and I will report back on Yours Insatiably probably pretty soon here. So it'll probably be a palate cleanse after this project, but yeah, I had a blast with these. Next up, my highs. Okay, so listen, I struggled to pick these even. I have 3, but I struggled my way to picking these 3. So, okay, first up we have Mle Foe by Kimberly Lemming. I adored this. I had put this off forever, realized it was on Everand, which is the new Scribd name, and listened to it there, and was so happy I did. It was like the perfect fall winter read, just a blast. And like I said, I just for some reason had kept putting off reading this, so I'm officially caught up in her universe, so that's exciting. But I just, like, truly had so much fun with this book. Like, so much fun with this book. And I cannot believe, like, how much fun it was. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was just so much fun. And I think it was really fun to meet Alexis for the second time, because I met her in the newest book, but didn't realize she was in this one. We had really funny throwbacks to other things that happened in the first book. Like, it just had the best mix of things. It had all the stuff I come to Kimberly for, and that is part of why I enjoyed it so much. I think it was just such an absolute blast to read. And I'm sad I'm caught up on the world of Mead Mishaps, but I'm also happy I am. Like, it's a weird in-between where I'm like, this is great, and I hate it, because I have no more to read right now. Okay, next is going to be Hoarded by the Dragon by Lillian Lark. This took me all month to read. Not because it was bad, but because I had to read other things, and I didn't want to finish it. Like, I didn't want to be done, because I don't know exactly when we're getting our next Lillian Lark, and I just was having such a blast with a book that featured so many things I normally don't like. There's pregnancy, and we follow her carrying a dragon baby. And, you know, a lot of kind of breeding stuff in here and other things, like I said, just not usually my jam. But Lillian, unsurprisingly, killed it with this book and really delivered for me something that was super duper enjoyable and fun to read, and also a really great time overall as far as reading goes. I think for me, like, Lillian's just top tier author. She's an auto buy. She's going to, for a long time now, be a favorite. We'll see if that changes ever, but for now I'm just over here thrilled as can be that I continue to love all of her books. This one, definitely, if you've been reading the Monstrous Matches, you need to read it. It is still a great continuation of that story. We had some great bathhouse cameo stuff. We had a lot of cameos from characters we previously met, which I loved. And we had a great setup for the next book, that I am now dying for. Even though I know it's going to be a wait, but that's fine. It'll be okay. Maybe. I might be a little sad about the wait, but it'll be fine. And then we have two more. So one is just going to be a quick brief highlight, which is that I finished the Brightfall series by Ashley Herring Blake. I loved this series. I think all three of these books were pretty delightful. I've definitely seen valid critiques and criticisms on them, but I personally just had a good time in all three books. And I think it's fun to see such a sapphic series be as popular as it's been, because it's definitely not something we've normally seen. So yeah, I loved all three of these. I finished them this month in November, did a little reread. That's also weird. Whatever. My tracker's off. I must have messed that up. It's fine. Anyways, I just wanted to highlight that this was a blast to read. And then last but not least for my highs is Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. I had so much fun with this book. I didn't think I would like this one. I really liked Part of Your World. I did not think it would hold up to the next book. I didn't think I would enjoy it nearly as much as I did, but here I am telling you I loved it. Yours Truly for me hit the same as Part of Your World. I think I've not read the older Abby Jimenez books, okay? I've only read Part of Your World and this one now, and she's slowly, like, her new releases are becoming very much favorites for me. I see the mass appeal of them. They have the mix of all the things I want in that pot, right? Like, we have emotion stuff, we have comedy, we have just a lot going on. Very real characters, in my opinion. They feel like people, like they could be people in front of me, and I really appreciate that. And a lot of really relatable issues in the book. And I just think it was so cute how they, like, started off as kind of, like, not enemies, but, like, disliked of each other, and then slowly built into this, like, beautiful friendship of passing notes, turned into crushes and fake dating. That fake dating never fully makes sense in the real world, but it worked for the idea of the book and where it headed. But yeah, that is, it was so good. I'll talk more about that in the vlog too on Thursday. Anyways, that is everything I read, or want to talk to you about that I read in November. If you're curious about everything I read, Goodreads and my vlogs are your place to go, because I do document every single book I read in a reading vlog. Or I try to. If you had any favorites this month, let me know what they were, and or your lows. Like, if you had one you really hated and you just want to talk about it, like, drop it down below. Would be very curious to hear. If you don't do either of those things, you can give me a sleepy emoji, because Millie is knocked out like always behind me snoring, but, like, she seems extra knocked out today, which is really cute. It's just a rough life over here for her. But yeah, so you can leave me a sleepy emoji down below. I'll also have links to all the books I talked about, links to my friend anywhere on the internet, and I will talk to y'all in just a few days. Bye!
Already packing, come with me. I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be, life with no distractions. We'll get away, this is what we